It's time for Mono Brown. Brown? Is that even a color? In Magic, really? Well, let me tell you kids, back in the days, artifacts used to be brown. Yep, they changed it. They're kind of silvery looking now, but we're not gonna call it a silver deck, because that just sounds weird to me. We're gonna call it Mono Brown. But I guess the first question on your mind is, such a thing even possible? Can you create an artifact deck with only artifacts? Yes, you can! Kind of, I think. By the way, if you're interested in seeing me playing this deck, because I'm only going to be theory crafting here and pointing out the obvious synergies, or maybe not so obvious synergies with this deck. But if you're interested in seeing me playing this, then drop a comment down below. And I will do my best to do this free to play from scratch, you know, as per usual. All my decks are free to play decks, so I want to do it, if there's any interest in doing it. So let me know. Anywho, this deck is pretty sweet. Why is it pretty sweet? Well, we have the Voltaic Servant here. You can't see it because I'm blocking it, unfortunately, but it says at the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. And it's a little fun fact, if you look at his left hand, there is actually holding the Voltaic key, which had the ability untap target artifact. I don't know if you remember, it's back from way back when the Voltaic key was first printed. Just some unnecessary trivia. Moving on. You can use this with Azor's Gateway, and you can also use it with Treasure Map, which are the most obvious kind of combos with this. Azor's Gateway is kind of balanced around the fact that you need 5 turns to actually flip the gateway, but with a Voltaic Servant, 5 turns becomes 3, because you get 2 activation every turn, which is also very good. Like, filtering that many cards, you can probably find the exact cards that you need for any situation with this. You also can use it with Treasure Map, which is another reason why I think this is good, because Treasure Map is super good, and Treasure Map is also very good with Karn. It's amazing with Karn. If you haven't seen my mono black artifact deck, then check it out, link in the description. It's good. It's actually really good, and one of the reasons that it's really good is because Treasure Map and Karn are such a nice combo together. Then we have Fountain of Renewal here, which is a bit weird. Like, why would you include this artifact? I mean, it's an artifact, so that's something. It gains you life, which is good against mono red, but also we need it. It's essential for this deck, weirdly enough, because we need it for Azor's Gateway. Why? Because we need 5 different converted mana costs. So we need a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4, and that's why we have all these mana costs here. So it's actually quite essential that we have this in the deck, because else we can't flip the gateway. And it's also, it's a bit difficult for this deck to get... there's not too many artifacts that we want for 1 anyway, so I think this is the best 1-mana artifact that I can fit in there. Anywho, moving on to more combo owners here. We have Powerstone Shard. Add 1 colorless for each artifact you control named Powerstone Shard. So not for each artifact, that would have been amazing. It's not a Mishra's Workshop or whatever it was called back in the day. It's not that strong. It just adds 1. But then when you get 2, well, both of these creates 2, so you have 4 mana in total. That's pretty good. And when you have 3, well, that's 9 mana. So it's kind of spirals out of control quickly when you have Powerstone Shards. So we have Powerstone Shards and Azor's Gateway. And what are we gonna do with all this mana? Well, I'll get to that in a second. One of the things to do with all this mana is Golden Guardian. Golden Guardian, there's a lot of tricksiness you can do here in this deck. First, I should maybe talk about what this card even does, because you probably haven't seen this card if you haven't, you know, searched around for weird cards or something. It's a 4/4 defender. That's not amazing. It's, I mean, decent, but not something you would pick up in your deck. But it has 2 colorless. Golden Guardian fights another creature you control. You can activate at this anytime. It's not a sorcery speed or anything. When Golden Guardian dies this turn, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. So there's a couple of ways to transform this. One of the ways is actually just blocking something and then fighting one of your other creatures, maybe, I don't know, a Skittering Surveyor or something, just to flip it. So you block something that's too big for this to survive, and it creates, it flips. And it's really good when it flips. It has either add to mana of any one color. We don't need, you know, colored mana because we have no uses for them. But what we do need is the other ability, which is 5 or 4 colorless. Then you tap it and you create a 4/4 colorless golem artifact creature token. So you can create an army of golems on a land, which is really hard to get rid of for most decks. So I mean, this deck is a late game powerhouse. When you get Azor's Gateway flipped, and you have Golden Guardians flipped, like, and you have multiple Power Stones, like, you're gonna own the battlefield, like, you're gonna get to a state where this deck is like a god, like, you're controlling everything, just creating colorless golems and spawning Karn tokens and just going to town. I mean, it's going to be insanely good late game for this deck. The only problem is getting to the late game, and usually the problem with getting to the late game is that your opponent is going to be fast and is going to run you down. So that's why we have Transmogrifying Wand, which also synergizes with Golden Guardian. Transmogrifying Wand, you probably haven't seen either. When it enters the battlefield, it has 3 charge counters on it. Then you can remove a charge counter. You can only use this at sorcerer speed, which is too bad, I think. Otherwise, it would be actually been quite good, I think. Maybe even playable in standard if it wouldn't have been sorcerer speed. I mean, a normal standard deck. It creates a 2/4 white Ox creature token for the controller of whatever creature you killed. So if you kill your own creatures, then you get a token. If you kill your opponent's creature, then they get a token. And that's pretty good. One little trick you can use with this is, of course, killing your Skittering Surveyors or Skyscanners, which are kind of worthless creatures anyway. When they've come into play, they've already done their thing, so you can buff them up with Transmogrifying Wand. So that's one way you can use this. You can also use this with Golden Guardian. What you're gonna do is, first you're gonna activate the ability that it fights target creature. It can be any creature, it can be the Skittering Surveyor, a Skyscanner, or maybe a Karn token or something, or maybe you're even willing to sacrifice your servant, I don't know. But when what you're gonna do with this is that you're first going to activate the Transmogrifying Wand, targeting your Golden Guardian, and then in response you're gonna place control. If you're in the arena, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna place control, activate the wand, target the Guardian, and then in response to your own ability you're gonna play that it fights another creature you control. So that's gonna resolve first. So first it's gonna resolve that it fights something, and then you have the thing here, when it dies this turn, return to the battlefield. So even though it doesn't die to the fight, it doesn't have to die to the fight actually, it's going to die from the Transmogrifying Wand, which is going to give you a 2/4, and you're going to get it back flipped. So that's really good. So that's one more synergy that you got going there. What more is there to the deck? Well, there's Skittering Surveyor, which is just a useless creature, because we need this useless creature, remember, to target with the Golden Guardian and maybe the wand. Skyscanner, same thing, it draws you a card. But the last reason why I think that this deck is actually good is because of the mana base. Well, not because of the basics here. We're running 4 Arch of Orazca, which synergizes, of course, with the Azor's Gateway and the Golden Guardian flip, because it can create mana, and the Powerstone Shard, which gives you insane amounts of mana. We have Detection Tower to deal with Carnage Tyrant. Remember, we can kill the Carnage Tyrant with Transmogrifying Wand. We can just turn it into a 2/4. That's, I mean, manageable, I think. We have Field of Ruin to deal with things such as Search for Orazca. Ascanta? Search for Orazca. It's not a card, I don't think. Search for Ascanta, which is... a lot of decks are running it. There are some other lands that you might also consider killing, especially if you're up against a guild's deck. You might want to kill off a source of some color to kind of disable their deck, so it's pretty good against that. Reliquary Tower, arguably the worst of these cards. Sometimes useful though, if you have, for instance, Arch of Orazca out, and, you know, treasure maps, and you're, you know, drawing, but it's going to be ultra late game where it's relevant, I think, in this deck. And then we got Zhalfirin Void, which I actually think is a really good card to have here. It's just scry 1, and that's not super duper good, maybe, but with all this card filtering and being able to put, you know, if we draw another, say, Azor's Gateway, we can just put it on the bottom, or maybe we have too many Karns or something. We can have even more ways to find the exact things that we need, and I mean, we're probably just gonna try to filter out and find the right amounts of lands. That's usually what we're gonna use this for, I think, but that effect is pretty strong. I mean, Magic's a lot about lands, so yeah, there's a lot of reasons that this deck is good, I think, and there's a lot of synergy. And if you want me to play this, drop a comment down below. That's it for the deck. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.